I'm very curious to see what happens. A guy who's been on this for what feels like it's not like chronologically, it's not really all that long, but it feels like a long time from the beginning. Jason Scheer, 24/7 Sports, covers Arizona. Jason, Colorado, likely moving to the Big 12. This information doesn't get out if it's not, probably going to happen because you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Just what are your thoughts on this happening today, and why did it happen today?
Yeah, from what I understand, it's like 99% done. I don't actually know if Colorado has applied officially to the conference, but the steps we're seeing is basically they're going to go to the board, ask permission, agree to the move, vote on it, and then the application is pretty much, it's accepted without being, accepted yet. But, from what I understand, the big thing was, if you remember last week, the Colorado president said that last Thursday they were going to get numbers presented by George, and they had the meeting and there were absolutely no numbers presented. And it was at that point that Colorado kind of said, you know what, it's time to really make a move. And there's rumors, I haven't been able to confirm, but there's rumors that the Big 12 said, look, we need someone by the end of the month here. You please let us know by the end of July. And that's kind of where we are. The end of July is pretty much here. And there's still been no substantial numbers presented, and Colorado's made the decision to leave.
Jason, what's you've been all over this. You've taken a lot of hell, and look, like you said, there's still unfinished business here, but this is obviously a big piece that's shifting in a major way compared to just all of the talk and rumors and things of that nature over the last, year plus. What's it like on your end, even though, again, there's still more to come, but just to see, I guess you put out there, and it was a very good tweet, kiss my ass, signed management.
Well, and it's not like I want to be sure here. It's not like I'm dancing on the grave of the Pac-12.
Right.
That's not what's going on. But the amount of tweets and mean things said, and you don't know what you're talking about to anyone in Big 12 land, any reporter, has been a lot to handle. And there's guys that have been saying, under no circumstance will a Pac-12 school move to the Big 12. And, now that it looks like it's going to happen, it's kind of like, give the Big 12 writers, myself, some other whatever, some credit here. It wasn't just stuff that we were making up. There was clearly smoke. And, like you mentioned, there's a long way to go. Now there's other schools on the clock. Now the Pac-12 has to speed things up, in my opinion. If anything, it's probably going to get crazier now.
Do you feel this will, just following up on that will start a panic within the conference?
Yeah, 100%. Because I don't see George with that horrible line at Pac-12 Media Day where he said the longer we wait, the better deal we could get, or whatever it is. You can't possibly make that argument now, because now the longer you wait, other schools are now saying to themselves, should we do what Colorado did? Colorado jumped. Why is that? Now we have to seriously consider jumping as well. And so if you're the Pac-12 commish, you got to come up with a deal. And I know they actually had an update today. I don't think there was anything substantial. And from what I was told, Colorado had not told the Pac-12 that they were leaving yet. But, there were some indications with Rick George and all that. But, yeah, I mean, if you're Arizona and you're looking at this right now, you got to be saying to yourself, when are we making a deadline now? If we don't have a deal, let's say within a month before the season starts, are we really going to drag this out, or are we going to go to the spot that's clearly open for us in the Big 12?
Jason, did it feel like they obviously had their message out last week. You mentioned Kliavkoff, and we were talking about Marshan and Alrand's podcast, and how they were talking about what a weird strategy that was to reveal to your TV partners that you're getting a better deal the longer it goes on, which was interesting. But has this, I guess from Arizona's point of view, let's talk about them first. Has anything really shifted major from there? Did it feel like it sort of settled down and it was going to status quo, or does this now completely upend everything for everybody over the past month or so?
I know that there were people within Arizona that did not want to be the first. Basically, I was told from people within Arizona, let's see if Colorado moves. And now that Colorado moves, I think it becomes much easier for Arizona to move. And now you got to wonder, with the Pac-12, the strategy has always been get a media deal and then go for expansion from there. Well, now the Pac-12 only has 9 schools. So what deal are you getting now with a conference that, like, if you're ESPN or whatever, what are you signing on for? You're signing on for a conference that's on the verge of dying now. And the reality is, if Arizona moves, maybe they backfill. I don't know what happens to the Pac-12, but overall with Arizona, I think they make their decision relatively soon, and realignment, that's probably a month, but
right.
It's something that, it's going to move now. Like, I don't think it's Colorado leaving and then everything all of a sudden becomes quiet again.
No, Jason, you did tweet out that there might be other schools other than Arizona considering the move outside of it. I know that you don't want to continue to wildly speculate, but do you think that, people how does it work? Do they call up Colorado and go, what did they told you? Or do they start having meetings? What do you think happens here after this?
Yeah, I think Colorado, they see how much Colorado signed up for. They see what Colorado was told they're going to get by the Big 12. And then they go to the Big 12 and say, can we get some of that? And then they go to George. And if George doesn't have a clear update, well, what are you going to do? And I know I'll be very transparent. I don't know the school that is looking to leave with Arizona and maybe whatever, but I was told from a very good source that it is a school that is not being talked about within the Pac-12. My first inkling would be Oregon, and because I don't think Cal or Stanford will ever leave the Pac-12. I don't think there's enough money with Washington State and Oregon State. We've talked about Utah. We've talked about ASU. Oregon I would lean to, and I don't know if that's going to happen or whatever, but I believe that now what you'll hear about is more schools having conversations with the Big 12 and looking to kind of get out or at least gauge some interest in some financial numbers and all that.
Man, if that was the case, I mean, do you imagine how bad that TV deal must be? To force an Oregon, or someone that just seems like it would be crazy. And obviously, we can unpack that at a later date. When did you get a sense of just things were awry at Pac-12 Media Days? Was it the quick exit by the Colorado folks? Was it just George's initial message? Just what was your kind of feel coming out of that last Friday?
Yeah, Rick George leaving pretty much after the opening address and not taking any questions. And he claims to have a meeting, and I'm sure he did. But I'm also sure that he scheduled that meeting on purpose so he would have a reason to get out. So, I mean, for him not to answer any questions, literally say no comment, that kind of makes your ears perk up. And then when I woke up this morning, I had a lot of text saying, there was for what I understand, and obviously I wasn't there, at Big Ten Media Day, there was a lot of open conversation about Colorado leaving. Multiple coaches were saying that they were leaving. There were people, in the media saying what they heard. And so it was a matter of the board meeting, and then the board meeting ends, and right away you have another one posted that'll likely be for approval. I don't expect an official announcement tomorrow from the Big 12 or anything, but that's kind of where we're headed.
Jason, just historically, the move to the Pac-12 wasn't good for Colorado. Financially, they lost some dollars over the long haul in it. They weren't good, really, outside of once or twice, and that good was relative to they were,
Steven Montez had a good little run, but it wasn't like Pac-12 champions and national champ.
As far as them on the field, this is probably a pretty good move for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they did not have success in the Pac-12. Like, if I'm a Pac-12 administrator and I'm trying to get a message out there, I'm going to back channels and saying, look, we can replace Colorado. It wasn't like they were a dominant team in basketball or football. If we had San Diego State, you can make an argument we're making the product better. And the issue is that, it's Deion Sanders has been very vocal about wanting to go to the Big 12. He is a Texas guy. And they put a lot of trust into what he's saying. And for Colorado, I think the move makes a ton of sense. And really, we all say Deion's going to be gone in a few years, whatever, but Colorado football has not been as popular as it is now for years. I mean, it is a national, they're selling out games and minutes. It is a national product. And so if you can take advantage of that attractiveness to your football program that you haven't had in so long, you've got to go and do it. And the Big 12 is right there. And that would have been super beneficial to the Pac-12 getting that national attention. But now, it's going to be Colorado versus TCU in a future Big 12 matchup to open up the season.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a crazy game now. I mean, even more so with this news potentially. Jason, and I know we'd love to solve every answer, but I don't know about you. I'm just thankful today to have like something substantial that's like, hey, there's some meat to this that we can all follow along now with whatever happens in that meeting tomorrow. But from a Pac-12 standpoint, I mean, with all their expansion talk, and there's been SMU and San Diego State, just what in the world do you think, they're thinking in those offices right now? And did they screw up? Like, I mean, how could they have done this any differently, I suppose?
I think they screwed up years ago when they didn't expand when they had the opportunity. But to me, the real screw up was letting the Big 12 go to market first. Once the Big 12 went to market first and signed their deal, everything the Pac-12 did from there on out was going to be compared to the Big 12. And so now you lost that. You lost time slots. That might be the most important thing that people aren't talking about. Forget the money. You lost the time slots that normally your conference would be on. So if you're an ESPN or whatever, why are you spending an absurd amount of money when there's other ways that you could possibly find to fill those time slots? And now you've created a situation where you've kind of forced yourself into, okay, well, now we may have to go streaming. Like, for all I know, the Pac-12 could sign with Apple tomorrow for more money than the Big 12. The issue is it would be 100% streaming. Apple wants it all. And so now you've kind of backed yourself in the corner where any leverage that you had is completely gone. The networks have the leverage. The Pac-12 has absolutely no leverage because it let the Big 12 go to market and beat it to the punch.
Yeah, Jason, this like when somebody writes the history of how this went down,
crazy.
It's going to be crazy. And I talked to he's a legend in the radio business, but his name's Jess Smoak, and he kind of invented sports talk radio up in the Northeast and was the guy who hired Mike and the Mad Dog. We were at the Super Bowl, and he is on the USC board. And I asked him about realignment, and he said, look, this was something that we talked about like year over year for about 6 years. They were like, well, is the Pac-12 going anywhere? So from the minute that USC left and the fact that the Pac-12 didn't do anything to assuage their fears at all, really, like, it's just such a rocky and crazy timeline.
I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. The Pac-12 had USC in a room voting against expansion and then like days later leaving the conference. So they gave USC a vote on the future of the conference that it had already decided to leave. I mean, it's just crazy to think about. And USC did warn the conference. It may not have been direct, but everyone was well aware that USC wanted unequal revenue sharing because, it was bringing in a large chunk of money. And its argument was, why are we making the same amount of money as an Oregon State or a Cal when clearly we're better we're better athletically, we're a better product and all that. And the Pac-12 just kind of shoot it. And it really put itself in that situation. I have never blamed USC and UCLA for leaving because at the end of the day, if you're a university, you have to do what's best for your university.
How much is Larry Scott to blame for all of this?
It's a big part. I mean, he let it get to the point. He put the conference in the bad spot financially. But at the end of the day, George is starting to get more blame too. Like he's the one that handled the television deal and all that. So Larry Scott was not good in any way, and he put the conference in a bad position. The problem is that the new commissioner hasn't been able to put it in any type of better position than it was previously.
Jason Scheer, 24/7 Sports.
Hey man, go check those mentions and have some fun. And man, great job on withstanding a lot of BS and going through a lot of BS and all that. I mean, obviously there's still some chips to fall here. So it's not like there's, like you said, there's not a victory in the Pac-12 being hurt by this, but no, you've been out there and put your neck out there. So great job and just doing what you do, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot. Always fun to be on with you.
Jason Scheer, 24/7 Sports with us here.